Hey everyone, it's your girl Amanda Schaefer here, and I'm back with another Jelly Side Up review, as in the film, or series of films, put together by my Wattpad buddy Brer Sam. She has already made 6 more installments, and I'll be talking about them today. Same thing applies as last time. I'll talk about what goes on in the stories, what appealed to me, what made me laugh, or anything like that. Of course, I'll even talk about my favorite part. So let's get started with the 7th installment, Holy Honey Pie. In this one, there's a dance coming up in Splash Mountain. And we once again see Chad's wife, Jill. And of course, hijinks ensue before the dance. One of which is Jeremy, I cannot speak. Jeremy claims that Patty is cheating on him with Chad, while the Brers are all fighting about who should dance with Jill at the dance. And that stuff happens a lot in films and television, like more than one guy fighting over one girl. The very same girl, that is. One part that made me laugh is when Chad and Patty were practicing CPR, and Patty's acting when she was pretending to be in distress was so over the top. But at the same time, I still laughed. And that definitely goes to show she did a good job pretending to be in distress. I also like the background music you hear when the dance goes on. And everybody's outfits when they were mingling at this dance, I loved them. The Brers may have been in their signature outfits still, but still, well, Bert didn't change either, but still, everybody looked great. And my favorite part of this one is when Bert comforted Jeremy when he realized that he does have a jealousy problem, even though he tried to deny it early on. Okay, that wraps up this one. Next we have the 8th installment, Toxic Taste. Now in this, there's tell of a poisonous jelly, saying that if anyone consumes it, it'll damage their brain cells. Like most of everybody in Splash Mountain consumed this jelly, and they each had different side effects. Like Patty had short-term memory loss that eventually turned into amnesia. Brer Fox was calling himself Brer Money. Bert sounded a lot happier than he normally does, saying he enjoys doing the dangerous stuff, and I was like, what? As for Brer Bear, he thought he was a bird. Like he would go squawk every so often, and I cracked up each and every time he did it. I laughed so hard I think I had tears in my eyes. Oh wait, I did. The only ones who were fine and didn't consume the jelly were Brer Rabbit, Chad, and Jeremy. Even Brer Vulture. But then it later turned out that this whole thing was a prank. So Patty, Brer Bear, Brer Fox, and Bert, they weren't affected at all. They were just trying to mess with Chad and Jeremy because they pranked them in the past. And even Brer Rabbit was in on it. In on the prank, that is. Getting back at the British duo. Some revenge pranks go too far, but this one was more on the comedic side. And what appealed to me is when Brer Vulture was helping them throughout the entire thing before we found out it was a prank. And, here comes my favorite part. And I said, the way Brer Bear acted during the effects of the jelly. Yes, I put effects in quotes because it was a prank. Okay, next. Twisted Peppermint, which is the 9th installment, and another Christmas one. And this one came out at the appropriate time because it was uploaded on Christmas Eve. In this one, Jill's back! Yay! I always love when Jill comes to visit Splash Mountain. Anyway, Santa Claus is back, and he needs the help of some of the Splash Mountain residents to babysit this reindeer named Harold. He can't fly yet, poor thing. But you know what they say. Reindeer in training definitely need all the help they can get. Reindeer in training, that actually kind of reminds me of Chet from the Santa Claus 2. He was a reindeer in training as well. Now, aside from the reindeer training part, we also see that Brer Fox is behaving very immaturely after making a dangerous toy and doing a lot of bad stuff. And we find out that it's because he hates Christmas. I've seen a lot of films and television shows where all but one character has Christmas spirit. Okay, and Brer Fox reveals why he hates Christmas. Because no one wants to spend it with him. So everybody band together to give him a Christmas that he'll never forget. And that's, of course, with your friends and family. Okay, before I talk about my favorite part, I just want to say that I loved seeing Brer Rabbit in a Santa suit. It was just so cute. And even Brer Bear looked adorable dressed as a reindeer. Jeremy, too. I kind of hoped he would be in the Santa suit, but he still looked cute as a reindeer. And boy, are we glad Harold was able to fly eventually. As soon as he did, I cheered. Alright. And there's one other thing I should point out. I was about to read my favorite part, but let me get into it first. Jill made a necklace for Chad, but he hated it. I liked the necklace, if I'm being honest. I really did. And then Bert tells him, as in Chad, that women are sensitive when it comes to gifts. And saying that his one wife choked him after she made him a scarf that he didn't like. And I'm like, geez. That's not very nice. Sometimes if you don't like something, you gotta be honest, you know? I know I do. There's some things I've done and I didn't like them. And some things I had and I eventually realized I didn't like them. And getting back to that, as soon as Jill heard that Chad didn't like the necklace, through Bert's words, she was upset. Understandably upset, I should say. But then after Chad explained to him what Bert told him, Jill said, "That's his wife. I'm your wife. I'd never do that to you." And I was like, aww. And that brings us to my favorite part. Jill telling Chad she'd never choke him if she didn't like anything that she had for him. That was really sweet. That goes to show Jill is such a good wife to Chad. Alrighty. Now we have the 10th installment, Chili Dogs. In this one, Patty gets a call from her brother saying that her dog has passed away. Hal was his name. And she didn't really deal with her loss right away. She was acting a little, as she says sometimes, cuckoo. Like acting all excited, ready for Splash Weekend, which was the main purpose here. But they thought about holding off on it because of Patty's loss. But she had a lot more energy than usual. Eventually, she did handle her loss the way most people do when they're in mourning. Elsewhere, we have Brer Fox and Brer Bear playing a game with another musical duo, Peter and Gordon. Brer Bear's beehive suit was adorable. I liked that. Getting back to Patty dealing with the loss of her precious dog Hal. She felt like she just couldn't stay in Splash Mountain and decided to leave. But everyone band together to tell her how much she's loved, because they didn't want her to leave. And who could blame them? Even though Patty can be hot-headed sometimes and a little nuts, but she means well. She really does. She's a good girl. And that's where the most adorable part comes in. She gets a new dog. I tell you, the minute I saw that little pooch, my heart just melted. He was the cutest thing I've ever seen. Naming the dog is what came next. So, what did she name him? She named him Ross. Naming him after Patty Lane's brother, played by Paul O'Keefe, in The Patty Duke Show. Which would explain why the dog was looking at his picture and barking at it. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I may have said this when I said my favorite part. That game the Brers were playing with Peter and Gordon was pretty funny. That may be my favorite part of the story, but when I watched the movie, this is my real favorite part. Or should I say my favorite part of the movie. When Patty got the new dog. Being a dog lover myself, can you blame me for saying that? Alright, next we have the 11th installment, which is a continuation of Chili Dogs, called Wiener Dogs. Patty is so happy with her new best animal friend, I should say, Ross, but let's just say things are getting a little out of hand with him around. Like he's peeing in kettles and ripping up shoes, and sometimes he even... Sorry, it's just the thought of it is just making me laugh, but I'm trying not to. Bear with me. He even pees on beds and such. And Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit and Jeremy are like, oh geez, stop doing this. Bad dog. But Patty's like, he's not a bad dog. At least she finally thought in training him, she had to train that little dog to not do the things that he did. Elsewhere, Brer Bear is jealous of a lot of the records that Bert has accomplished. So Chad was doing all he can to make sure he gets a plaque. And though Bert was hesitant about letting Brer Bear win, he was trying to help out a friend anyway. Back to where we have the other Brers and Jeremy and Patty with the little dog, as in Ross, he runs off at one point. And Patty blames Jeremy, Brer Fox, and Brer Rabbit for his disappearance. Because, as she pointed out, Ross knew you didn't like him, so that's why he ran away. And I'm like, gee whiz, Patty, don't be so hard on them. Just because they're not pleased with what Ross has done doesn't mean they don't like him. So Jeremy and the two Brer animals helped Patty find Ross, and when they did, he started howling like a wolf. Not long after they heard a pack of wolves howling. And Patty thought, is this your pack? And the others knew that wolves need to stay with their pack. So Ross stayed behind in the woods to be with the wolves. It may have made Patty sad. It made me sad too. That poor little dog. He did eventually come back, thank goodness, thanks to the scratching we hear on the door. And it was nice of Jeremy to make a doghouse for Ross. That way he can visit his family and everybody in Splash Mountain whenever he pleases. And, oh, I just brought it up. Which happens to be my favorite part of this story, when Jeremy made a doghouse for Ross. That was very nice of him, and he especially made his girlfriend happy. Which now brings us to the 12th and latest installment of Jelly Side Up, called Mississippi Mud Pie. In this one, the Brers, as in two of the Brers anyway, Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox, they want to go mudsliding. But Chad specifically said a big fat no. But they eventually did it anyway. Although Brer Bear was against it as well, saying like, I don't think we should. Chad said no. And he actually did go along with sliding. And then they try to cover up what they did just so Chad won't get suspicious. But he did. Elsewhere, Bert is sad because he and his wife Bonnie have divorced, thanks to a kiss on the Batman set. Like he was supposed to kiss a girl that he was with on the cheek, and Bonnie took it to think that she was cheating on him. We may not see that play out, but that's what we hear. And they even meet a pretty girl named Victoria, played by Kathy Kirsch. That's right, who was also in Batman. She played one of the Joker's henchmen, Cornelia. Victoria may have been all cool at first, and the way Jeremy acted around her sparked jealousy within Patty, which brings us back to what happened in Holy Honey Pie. Only this time, it was Patty being jealous of Jeremy. And she even pushed Victoria down the stairs. And I'm like, Patty, that wasn't very nice. But we later find out that Victoria was not as nice as we thought she was. Like the way she talked to Patty while they were trying to help with this ship that was about to collide with rocks. When she said, stress isn't good for the complexion, that was the last straw for Bert. So he stood up for Patty, telling Victoria off. That goes to show what a good friend Bert is to Patty. Things may have ended well, here and then, but Need I say that Chad actually pranked the others, as in the Brers, for lying to him about why they are covered in hives? Turns out they were hit by poison oak while they were on the mudslide. So Chad got them real good, pretending to say he had pneumonia and dying from it. In reality, Chad actually did get pneumonia and passed away from it back in 2020. Just 10 days after his 79th birthday. Getting back to this story, Chad did ask, "Promise you'll never disobey me again if I tell you not to do something?" And the Brers promised they would. Even though Brer Fox said probably not. The Brer Rabbit did say what he meant to say. That may have been a wild ride, but that brings us to my favorite part. Yep, my favorite part. I said Patty and Jeremy letting Bert join them for their date to cheer him up. That was very nice. Bert did say he didn't want to be a third wheel, but Patty and Jeremy decided to be good friends and let him come along. Well, they've always been good friends to Bert, but you know what I mean. Okay, that about wraps up this review. I have a feeling there are going to be more Jelly Side Up installments in the future, and if there are, I look forward to seeing them. I know you're going to do a great job, Sammy. So in the meantime, what did you think of this review? Let me know in the comments. And don't leave any hateful ones if I got anything wrong. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be back in future videos. See you later, alligator.